We'll do it as a group. There's 10 or 11 of them. I'll take a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Chris Sweeney to the Agricultural Commission for a 3-year term, Clinton Jerry to the Agricultural Commission for a 3-year term, Timothy Morrell to the Agricultural Commission for a 3-year term, Andrew Fusco to the Agricultural Commission for a 2-year term, Doreen Piota to the Board of Registrar for a 3-year term, Teresa Kofsky as the ADA Coordinator for a 1-year term, Teresa Kofsky as the Records Access Officer to a 1-year term, Jeff Taylor as the Building Inspector for a 1-year term, Nicholas Thomas, is that Tomo? It says Nicholas Tomo, the Zoning Enforcement Officer for a 1-year term, Kelly Hitt, Senior Center Director for a 1-year term, Susan Raymond, Council on Aging for a 1-year term, Pamela Gemi, is that how it's pronounced? Is a 3-year term to the Cultural Council for a 3-year term, Susan Roden to the Cultural Council for a 3-year term, Jane E. Higgins to the Cultural Council for a 3-year term, and Amy Agro as the Library Director for a 1-year term.
I'll second that motion. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? They're all appointed. Thank you very much for everyone to come forward. Next item of business is a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors, fill a vacancy and consider the appointment of Phil Landine until the next local election. Gail, do you want to talk on that?
Sure. So I'm Gail Kamara-Marx. I'm on the Board of Assessors. Unfortunately, in the last election, we did not have anyone that ran, and we had to take people who had the highest number of write-ins. So Phil Landine is the person who accepted this. So according to Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Sections 6 and 11, the vacancy has to be filed by a joint meeting of the Select Board and the remaining members of the Board of Assessors, which is me. The other member of the Assessors Board is Renee White, who is out on medical leave. So we need you gentlemen to make an appointment.
Okay. I'll make a motion to, I'll make the motion. Forget it. Stephanie. Go ahead.
That's all right. Make a motion to appoint Phil Landine to the vacant Board of Assessors position until the next local election.
I'll second that. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
All right?
Aye. Mr. Landine is on the Board of Assessors.
Did you vote? You didn't vote, right?
Oh, am I supposed to vote? Yes, I voted
Thank you.
in favor.
Oh, I do have a question. He's also on the school committee, correct?
Yes,
Can you be on 2 different boards?
you can.
Thank you.
Sorry to do that.
Nope.
It's Teresa, please, sir.
Okay, the next agenda item is place the Board of Selectmen vacancy for the remainder of the term ending in May of 2028 on the September 1st, 2026 state primary election warrant.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to place the Board of Selectmen vacancy on the ballot for the September 1st, 26 state primary election.
And I'll second it. Any comments, questions?
The warrant will be placed before you at the next meeting.
Excellent.
All those in favor?
All right?
Aye. Motion passes. Next item agenda is Joe Bulakowski, discuss the drop-off center. No,
Oh, we're not doing that?
well, that is Joe. The senior work-off program.
He said he was going to be coming this evening.
Yeah, because you had me cross it off. He said he was going to be here to discuss it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the agenda, there was no time to update. And then when he came in the second time, I believe that he was going to discuss perhaps changing the policy on in several areas, so. You could table it if you want for now.
Yeah, I want to table it till the meeting.
Second. We'll table it till. Okay, so then the next agenda item would be discussion to reinstate part-time patrol officers for FY '27, which we would have to rescind part-time officers.
Or you could just vote to reinstate.
We have a
But
motion?
there should, well, before you do that,
Well, we need to have
yeah,
a
go
motion
ahead
to
and do the
discuss it.
motion, yeah.
Yep, I'll make a motion to reinstate part-time patrol officers for fiscal year '27.
I'll second it. Discussion, questions?
Yeah, so, for the chair, with our fiscal '27 budget, we lost our full-time patrol officers, 2 of them. In order to lay off the 2 full-timers, you have to lay off the part-timers. At the end of the day, both full-timers found positions in other communities, so they did not need to be laid off. One full-timer went next door, another full-timer went to Worcester prior to July 1. Those layoffs still obviously took effect for the part-timers. One part-timer isn't interested in coming back. We want to thank that part-timer for their service. But the other part-timer is still interested in working for us, and having, such a small team. I think, 10 years ago, part-time police was a big deal. We had probably 8 or 10 or 12 part-timers that would help out with shift coverage. We don't have that now. So to be able to get a part-timer to help out to cover a holiday or back time or sick time or comp time that our officers have, I think would be helpful. I don't see any real downside to it at this point. They're fairly inexpensive as compared to paying an overtime shift for a full-time police officer. So, and again, we're only going to be saving one of the officers at this point. The other one is going to, keep the layoff.
So my concern is basically the optics. We told everyone in town that we had to let go of 4 officers. Could you explain to us why we don't have to let go of these 2?
The 2 full-time officers did receive layoff letters, and like I said, they took positions in other communities prior to the layoff taking effect. So essentially they weren't, they were laid off, but they're not laid off. They resigned prior to being laid off.
So did we have to lay off part-timers because that's what the contract says?
Yes, sir.
Even though laying off the 2 full-timers met the financial needs?
Correct. Yeah.
And so the issue with the optics comes as a result of that information not being presented in any form whatsoever. So at the public presentations, as even in my last presentation showing all the cuts to the departments, that information came from the chief that it would be 2 full-time officers, 2 part-time officers that would be laid off. So I stood there and I mimicked that, but at no time had I been informed that, but if by chance these officers pick up another job before July 1st, then we won't be, then we won't need to be. And I know that you had said that you couldn't make that call, but you did budget for part-timers in your budget anyway. So it was there. So there was just not the communication that should have been brought forward. And so that's the problem with the optics right now. And it was a hurdle to try to get over and try to gain trust that had been lost as a result of the last Proposition 2.5. So that's what I need to say there.
Are we gonna have an issue with full-timers if we bring a part-timer in to fill a shift? instead of calling them for overtime.
So the full-timers still have right of refusal on shifts. The part-time is gonna be used to fill those shifts when they don't want the shifts. And I mean, I only have 4 full-timers, so if somebody takes the day off, there's probably another full-timer that's already off, so I'm only gonna have 1 or 2 people that can even work the shift. So having these people, having anybody available is better than not having anybody available. I understand the optics. I couldn't anticipate that the full-timers were gonna find jobs. When we gave those presentations, those were what were gonna happen. I can't go against a union contract, either in a union meeting, either in a meeting, not the union meeting, but in a meeting. So, if the optics look bad, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to give the board the best opportunity to have the best public safety in our community, and I feel that this is the way, we can do that, in spite or despite of the optics. So,
If you approve this, would you be looking for another part-time officer, so you'd have 2, or?
I mean, it would have to really be someone that we're going to be able to use. Right now, we don't have the finances to even upfit an officer, so I'd like to see the dust settle first, see how it works out. Our budget this year is going to be very difficult to live within those means just to start with. So I think I do have in my budget that I can outfit 1 officer if we were to get one, but I don't know if I want to use that right now on a part-timer. I think we got to wait for the dust to settle, see how this works out. There was a lot of moving parts. This is something that West Brookfield hasn't had to deal with in many, many years. They've had an overnight shift, so this is new territory for all of us.
I would think our motion would have to be amended too, to cap it at $3,125, because that's what's in the account, right?
I don't know the exact number that's
That
in
is
the
the
account.
exact number.
You can.
Well,
That's
I don't
what's in
know,
the
I don't know if
account.
that's true, because that's in the budget.
Yeah, but
It's a
in
separate
the
line
account.
item in the budget, part-time,
Yeah,
and it's $3,125.
right, and it's already in,
And
it's
it's
already in the fiscal 27 budget.
That's what I was saying, he did put it in the
Right.
budget.
Yeah, so it's
Mhm.
already in his fiscal 27 budget.
Yeah.
So I don't think we necessarily need to outline that in the motion.
Well, that's the line item, that's the amount of money.
Mhm.
That's
So,
it?
That's it.
Mhm.
So, can't hurt being in the amount, is all I'm saying. That's the amount, that's the drop. That's it. I don't- 1 police officer part-time, hopefully that'll last for a whole year, hopefully.
Yeah, this isn't a real forum for municipal finance law, but there's usually 2 buckets of money, 1 for salaries, 1 for expenses, and
Right, and your salaries are all line item for each individual. And then perhaps at the end of the year, you could do internal transfers, but, you should stick within your budget, just the way that it is, as much as you possibly can. That's why they have a line item budget the way they do in West Brookfield.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion, I second it. All those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
thank you.
Do we want to go back to, step back, no,
You can go back to Joe.
Joe, yeah. Okay, so we're talking about drop center, FY 2027, a Wednesday schedule, is that what we want to discuss with Joe?
Joe is here.
Yep, I see that, that's why I brought it up.
The drop-off center, we've been trying to figure out to keep the drop-off center open on a Wednesday. And I brought it up that I'd be willing to take the senior plan, you know, to keep it open 3 days a week. And from now until November, it would cost $945 under the senior plan. And Teresa just gave me a thing, it says, this applicant is not eligible if you're a town employee. Well, what is a town employee? Is that 40 hours a week, or I work 6 hours a week? I'm willing to do it for the town on Wednesdays for the tax write-off on the senior plan. So that's where there's a difference in what this wording is here, and then you guys could either, this is not a new job, it's not posted, it's not nothing. I talked to Jim about it, and I'm willing to do it for, you know, 9 to 12 on Wednesdays till November under the senior plan. And the senior plan is up to $2,000 now, and it would only be $945 to keep it open on Wednesdays for the people in the summer and the fall.
The way, Teresa can jump in at any point, the way I understand it, it's set up for, is it 2 veterans, 2 seniors?
3
for work?
veterans and 3
seniors
seniors.
for
This
work.
is the policy that the town has in place. And it describes within the policy that the programs voted for will allow property owners 60 and older to volunteer services to the town in exchange for a reduction in their property tax up to $500 per fiscal year. This equates to 33.5 volunteer hours at the rate of $15 per hour. The amount of the tax work-off credit cannot exceed the total tax due for the fiscal year after any other exemptions have been allowed. It goes on to say that the senior tax work-off program will run from July to November. The hours worked during this time will be calculated and applied to the tax bill issued in December. There will be 6 slots available. 3 will be for veterans, 3 are for seniors. So the reason that when I checked with the assessors and the treasurer collector and the one who, the senior center director is the one that oversees the program, and she was the one that sponsored the vote a couple of years ago on town floor to adopt the section of Mass General Law that allows you to do that. What they did is they used in the article the exact verbiage in the law that caps it at 2,000. However, that law allows the town to then create the policy to create the program, and it was decided based on the amount of money in the assessor's overlay account that they could squeeze out $3,000 in total. And if they did it at $500, it would at least allow 6 folks in town to be able to take advantage of the opportunity. 3 seniors, 3 veterans. So that's why it was set at the $500. The $15 per hour is the state's minimum wage, and that hasn't changed. It's still $15. And then it further goes down to say, the eligibility, you must be 60 years or older, must be the property owner of record or spouse of the owner. You must have a legal title if it's subject to the trust. And then it goes on to say the applicant is not eligible if already an employee of the town of West Brookfield. So the reason why that is put in there is it gives other folks the opportunity. And now, you could certainly change your policies and that, but you have to consider, the pool of money is very small. In addition to that, he is already an employee. So what would that do? It sets precedents, and I will tell you, you do have employees currently employed in the town that are over 60. And so you would be setting precedents where those folks would be able to apply, and that would completely leave out others as well. Now, some communities do allow an employee, but they must work in a separate department, because the purpose of this is to give an opportunity to seniors and veterans. It's not meant to, it's for volunteer services. So if a department needed help with filing because they're overwhelmed, then a volunteer would be able to do that work, because it's not a position already on the books. And so that's what this is for. And if you look up Mass General Law on that and you research the purpose is not to fill in a budget gap on an existing position. So that's all I can tell you there
This was
now.
brought up on the town meeting floor. To change or amend things, we have to bring it up on the town meeting floor?
So
Change the
what?
policy?
So I have found some discrepancies there. When I spoke to the assessor, and I have worked in towns where that is how they have changed. It was always brought to town floor. However, when I did more research on it, a little bit more today, it also looks as though that law would allow the authority to be able to make changes. And so I would say that there's certainly a possibility that would be the case. When I looked at other communities, I did find, I believe it was Rutland that I looked at, where their policy shows amendments by the Board of Selectmen. And so I would say that their interpretation is as well that it could be up to the Board of Selectmen to change policy.
This is not a new position. This is just something that I'm willing to do for the town right now. It's not up for a position to do this.
And I understand that. I'm just looking at the policy we have in front of us.
I know that.
And you're a town employee. We are keeping it, there's caps, there's a certain amount of money. That's the town policy right now. My question is,
Can
does
you
it need
change
to
it
go to
like she
floor?
just said?
I don't know. What if we opened it up to a volunteer who wanted to get in on the program that could do this on Wednesdays?
But it's not a new program. It's just something
No, I
I'm willing
understand
to
it's
do.
not new. I get
Somebody
that.
would have to open up to be a new program.
Well, I think the way the policy is written, we couldn't let someone else do it because it's an existing position. It wouldn't be, like you said, filing.
The purpose of the senior tax work-off program under the law, the state's reasoning for putting this forward is not to fill existing roles. It's not to fill a budget gap. It is, so let's say he needed help down there because it's too much. And he needs, they've got, I don't know, oil containers that need to be packaged up, wrapped on a pallet. But it requires 3 people to do that. A senior tax work-off could go and do that because they're not performing his everyday duties in that role. That's what I'm saying. Like, I could ask for a senior tax work-off to come in and help with filing because now there's 2 positions to file for. There's no way that I can keep
Well,
up
then
with that,
what
right?
you're saying is that's an existing position. We can't use this program on an existing position.
It's the intent of the program is what I'm saying. The intent of the program, correct.
Thoughts?
Now, I know that we're trying to save money, and I'm trying not to use council except on, and we have some big issues that we're going to need council on. You're more than welcome to review the guidelines, talk to the state, council if you'd like, there's things that you would have to look at to make sure there's not any ethics violations in doing that.
I think this, if we do this, if we let Joe do this, I think it's just setting too much of a precedent.
And I don't have a problem with that. And it sounds like we can't use it to bring a new person in to an existing position. We can't use an existing person who works there to fill an
Well,
existing
it doesn't
position.
say that.
So
It doesn't
the
spell that.
policy,
It doesn't spell that out, though.
There's no common sense in that.
No, but
thing.
the policy isn't spelled out, so we can interpret it to do what we want. And we could amend it to do what we want, like the other towns you mentioned.
but it'll be opening up a can of worms.
Yeah, and, you know, Joe, how often, you're down there 2 days a week right now with the new
No, we're
budget?
just at one now,
Was it just Saturdays?
just Saturdays now. Yeah,
Were you there on Wednesdays before?
yeah, every Wednesday.
Okay.
I've been there since 2019, every
Yeah.
Wednesday and Saturday.
Yeah.
And then they cut it in half, which is fine, okay. But now I'm bringing this up just 3 days a week to take off on your taxes on me because I'm there. I know what's going on and everything. We haven't had one complaint in 7 years.
Well,
Nothing.
yeah, I mean, we didn't cut the budget
No,
because people
I
were
know
complaining about the
that, but I'm
services.
just trying to say there's no common sense in saying you can't be an employee. You
How
could
many
try to
hours
fill in
on
for
a
your senior tax
Saturday? Is
money.
there a way to
Well-
work within the existing hours, but shorten the Saturday hours just to
No, I
allow
think
at
it's
least
just 3
2
hours
hours?
Saturday.
No,
Oh.
that's not gonna cut it.
Yeah, you're
3
just there
hours.
3 hours on Saturday,
I'm there 6 hours on Saturday,
6
just
hours on
now.
Saturday.
It was 6 and 6, now it's
Yeah.
just 6. No Wednesdays. And I just brought this up, I talked to Jim about it, he said, that's a great idea. He says you could be in there and do that, and then this clause, no employee.
I mean, it
I-
sounds like
I-
a great idea, right? It sure does on the surface. It's just that we have to
No,
make
the
sure
only
that we're
clause we have is
within.
you can't be a town employee.
And
It's 6
and you
hours.
are.
I call a town employee somebody that works 40 hours a week,
Well,
not, you know.
Yeah, it's not, doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You get a W-2.
Well, you know what I'm saying, I'm
you
not
get a-
full.
You get a W-2 from the town, you're a town employee.
I'm not for, I'm not, you know,
No, I hear you, Joe. Have we had anybody take advantage of this program?
Yeah, right now you have 2 applicants. There's one for water and there's one for, that has recently signed up. And I think she'll be submitting her application for the, to do some work in the town clerk's office.
And what will they be doing for water in the town clerk?
I have no idea what they, I don't administer the program, so
No,
I
I know,
don't
but
know.
is it filling an existing role, or is it?
The lady that had applied for the town clerk's office, her position had been eliminated.
So it's not dissimilar to what Joe's asking then, because we're cutting his position
Yeah,
back.
now I don't know what she's going to be doing for them. I know that she comes in and does anything, like right now, she's volunteering without being paid. And she's done like assembling some binders and things like that, because Pam has taken over the dog licensing, and that's what Chris used to do. So,
because she's worked for the town for years too.
Right, but the position was cut completely.
Yeah.
so she's
exactly.
no
Not
longer
just,
an
not just
employee.
cut in half.
Mhm.
So that's a bit of a different situation.
Mhm.
So Teresa, the policies that you said about this program, can the board make any changes? Because, you know, our town is different than it was a year ago. It's, you know, we're financially.
Oh, the board can
And
change
the only, I'm not
policy,
saying
it's
just for
just
Joe,
that.
but I know a lot of people that are willing to volunteer even free, okay? This is what I'm hearing on this, you know, people are willing to step up, they know we're a mess. So I just don't know if maybe, not even today, but looking at this and saying, well, how else can we better utilize this?
You'd be
Because-
surprised how hard this was to pass a couple of years ago.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people did not like this. People were very upset about this passing.
But don't you think
I
that
don't
this,
understand why they'd be upset at something
don't you
like
think
that.
the dynamics have shifted though with the budget cuts and the need, the layoffs?
I think Deb wanted to say something.
Your question was exactly what I was saying, how many people apply, and if you have for 6 positions, but only 2 apply, it seems like you have extra resources
Well, the
there.
fiscal year has just begun, so I can't say how many are going to apply.
In the
So,
past, has it 6 positions filled?
I have no idea. I
Last
don't
year?
administer it. You know, this was just passed, I guess, 2 years ago, so it's a new program. But I do believe that as the economy is giving no relief and that seniors are feeling it more and more, and the same with veterans, it's not like they're getting big raises in their Social Security or their veterans benefits.
Oh, I'm there.
So you know, we may see an increase of applicants, and it's unfortunate that our funding is so tight, we would only be able to do 6, you know? So,
You did the math on this, Joe. What was the dollar amount for 3 days a week until November?
What's that?
3 hours.
3 hours
3
a week until November?
3
How
hours a
much?
week for me to be there from July to November is $985.
So you alone would consume half the budget.
But
Which-
it's limited to
No, 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 it's
$500 per
2,000,
person, I
it's
understood.
2,000 each.
Yeah, but we
Well-
already have 2 people, and you can only do $500 a person.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you mean the other way around. I'm talking about just what mine would be.
Right, but we have the way the policy is written now, we have it capped at
No, it's
$500 per
2,000.
person.
It's not 500.
Yeah, it
No,
says
it's
right here,
2,000.
500 per fiscal year.
I went through with Teresa, she's got it here. It's 2,000
right,
now.
the article that was placed before the town was the language that was taken
The
out
language.
of Mass General Law that caps it at 2,000, so it could be up to. The article also is the adoption of this section of law, then authorizes the program to be established by the town. And it was established via this policy, how the program, so the purpose of it, the eligibility of it, the dollar amount of it. So that's where it lies. Now, if we had boodles of money, some communities do have it up to the $2,000. But we just don't have those funds.
I believe that the policy is the policy.
And I believe, I could be wrong, because I'm not really sure. I thought there was a lady that worked at the senior center that was part of that program last year. I don't know if she currently is, but, and I don't know anything else about that, unfortunately. But I'm fairly certain.
I think a lot of people don't know that that program exists, and if you don't go to the town meetings, you haven't heard the vote, and you haven't heard that that's available. If it was published somehow, you might be overwhelmed with applicants.
True.
No, it's live now, so
Yeah.
it could be tomorrow morning.
We need a lottery. Well, we don't, I mean,
Can you make it like an exception for, say, an employee that works 10 hours or less could apply for it? So that it eliminates anybody else that's more.
we could amend the policy however we see fit, but at this point in time,
I don't think, I think it needs to stay the way it is. I mean, I'm sure with taxes rising, people will be coming forward. And we need to have the ability for 6 people at $500 apiece.
well, it wouldn't.
But
be
how
under-
many positions do you have that are looking for seniors? How many positions?
Well, with all the positions we lost in the last 3
Would
weeks,
be a
it could be
few.
great, it could be a lot.
Yeah.
It could be a lot.
I mean, you could use someone to do filing, so, I mean, they're out there right now.
They just didn't probably know about it.
Type minutes.
Type it, yeah. So,
I believe we leave it the way it is.
yeah, we don't need to vote on anything yet on this. Sorry, Joe.
It's okay.
Year-end appropriation transfer request.
What's this transfer for?
So you'll see
Reason for
with the
transfer.
accounting, right?
Reason for
And then to be transferred to, it's $4,229 to be transferred to the accounting auditor, consulting services, and the account number to be transferred from town hall telephone internet with the account number The reason for the transfer is that the audit came in higher than had been anticipated. It came in at 19,000 instead of the anticipated 15,000. In fiscal 27's budget, though, I can tell you that accounting put the audit in as 19. So that wouldn't happen next year. But you are certain to have plenty of transfers next year. You know, so that's how this is laid out. The vote would, what I would do, would be to approve the year-end appropriation transfer for accounting, or whatever, you know, in the, or transfer in the
Yeah.
amount of,
Yep,
okay?
yep. So I'd like to make a motion for the fiscal year-end appropriation transfer request of fiscal year 26 of $4,229 from the TH Telephone Internet account 01-192-5340 to accounting auditor consulting services 01-135-5308.
I'll second that. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Okay, so we have a bunch of these to do.
You do. So this next group is all out of the selectman's office.
All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve the year-end appropriation transfer request in the amount of $104 from the Selectmen Dam Maintenance, account 01-122-5310 to Police and Fire Insurance, account 01-195-5171.
I'll second it. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye. And make a motion to approve the year-end appropriation transfer request of $6,638.37 from the Selectman Executive Secretary, account 01-122-5112, to Legal Counsel Services 01-122-5730.
Second, any questions, comments? All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 year-end appropriation transfer request in the amount of $650.71 from Selectman Executive Secretary, account 01-122-5112, to Computer Tech Support Services, account 01-155-5306.
I'll second it. Questions, comments? All those in favor?
All right. Make a motion to approve the year-end appropriation transfer request in the amount of $1,272.24 from the Selectman Executive Secretary, account 01-122-5112, to the Computer Tech Software, account 01-155-5385.
I'll second it. Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to approve the year-end appropriation transfer request in the amount of $1,859.62 from the Selectmen Dam Maintenance account 01-122-5310 to the Municipal Lighting account 01-424-5210.
I'll second it. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye. And we have some more. All right. Make a motion to approve the year-end appropriation transfer request in the amount of $10.31 from Selectman Dan Maintenance, account 01-122-5310, to the Drop-Off Center, account 01-433-5580.
I'll second it. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to approve the fiscal year and appropriation transfer request of 25 cents from Selectman Dan Maintenance, account 01-122-5310, to long-term debt, account 01-751-5915.
I'll second it. Any questions or comments?
That'll go far.
All those in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to approve the year-end appropriation transfer request in the amount of $14.10 from Selectman Dan Maintenance, account 01-122-5310, to life insurance, account 01-915-5170.
Second it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
So just so that the public understands what these are for, even right down to that 25 cents, it's just at the end of the year, we'll do internal transfers for any small deficit accounts, so that way they're zeroed out at the end when we close the books. So the state allows us to do that from May until July 15th. And then that way when we close those books, we don't have deficits going forward, so, yeah. But that's the whole purpose for year-end. They're called year-end transfers.
Who chooses which accounts they're transferred to?
Well, now that's interesting. So some of them, I sat down and identified the different accounts that the selectman's office is responsible for, and then look to see whatever I have extra that's remaining in other accounts, and you have to take a look at everything that you've spent, all the invoices, to make sure that during that fiscal year you have paid out 12, let's say it's a monthly bill, right? You've got to be able to project out what invoices you expect to receive at the end of the day. And so then today I had all my numbers. I sat down with our interim accountant who had all of her numbers, and we compared and we landed on the accounts that would be best suitable. So when you have a lot, such as our department did, it makes most sense to find the larger number to take from the same account as many times as you can, so you don't make it a nightmare when you have to go in. So the accountant has a lot of work that she will do in making those changes, so, yeah. So it's a joint effort.
Next up is an update on the Quabog Youth Sports Complex proposal.
Checking with you guys, see if you had an update.
We have not received an update. It did go over to council as a preliminary. So there's, several things that we would have to look at, and the disposition of property. So we don't have any update there. And also waiting on the insurance company for their quotes. And then while we're talking about the school, there's utility transfers and all of that I'll be working with Nicole on, so, yeah.
Sure. We'll wait to hear back.
Yeah.
But we had it just as an item, a placeholder, just in case we had received news.
Okay, a continued discussion of potential charter school in West Brookfield.
Yeah, so, the school that's interested, they're just, with vacation time and stuff, it's becoming hard to get a board. They're gonna be having a board meeting, and they will be having a vote on whether or not they wanna assume this. So I don't really have an update. They did tell me that they would need to run a 10-year model on success, which would take a few months. So they would give me the yes on the vote, and then they'd run that model, and then they would give me a confirmation this fall, October or so, on whether or not they move forward. I just want to explain the different avenues for a charter school. So there's two ways you can approach this. One would be forming a local board. So in other words, we say to the school, yeah, we're interested. We could have a local board that which would be community members or people from the areas that we'd be servicing, and they would act in our best interest of that school. And the difference being is you could actually hire a school to come in, and you maintain control as far as if you're not liking the direction of the, where the education's going, that you can basically remove them. Or you can have a replication model where a proven provider of a school, such as what I'm speaking to, they come in and they just replicate to the region and area of the needs for these children. So those are your two options, and I'm just giving you that as education so you can further understand that. Last week, I also had two meetings, one with Alyssa Hopkins, the Assistant Director of Charter Schools at DESE, and the second meeting I had was Erica Brown, at the Director of Mass Public Charter Schools Association. They both provided me a wealth of knowledge and a deeper understanding of the process. And I have to say, both DESE and this Erica Brown are incredibly supportive of this process. We did kind of look at the numbers of the school I was looking at, of how they are a proven provider, where are the children of low income students testing, and they were testing right up there with the other students of higher incomes, which is a huge success in the school if you think about it. So moving forward as a group, there's two things we have to do. We have to form a nonprofit organization. Now, what does that do? Well, that organization, once it's approved, even before it's approved, we start looking for donors from businesses, areas to support this town. We start building money. How does that help? Well, even before it's approved, we can come to the town of West Brookfield and say, listen, I know you're struggling. I know you got bills on that business, on that building. We want to help you. So that's when we start getting into the nitty-gritty of, do we get some kind of agreement from you, not a lease, but an agreement that this is what we're going to move forward, because we will have the organization, once we're approved, to be able to help the town support the building, the cost of the building. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the board that's having a vote, they're voting what?
They're
Just to see if
voting-
they're interested?
Their vote was, she's doing a PowerPoint presentation. She's asking for me a lot of information from our area. That she's doing a PowerPoint presentation, and then the board is gonna vote on whether or not they want to do a replication model. Even if they don't, they have guaranteed us they will provide curriculum information, anything we need to be successful. So that would be our easiest path forward, is basically having a proven successful model to come in. But at this point, I can't guarantee it until that vote happens and that model proves success.
When is that vote supposed to happen?
I have not been giving, I believe it's gonna be early August is when they had a hard time with the quorum and with vacations in July.
Okay.
The girl, my contact, the superintendent, is basically on vacation this week. So I can certainly give you an email next week on when that date will be.
Okay. At what point would the town receive information on the school that's behind this proposal?
I think once they do their proven track record as far as their model, they will be willing to say,
How many
yay.
years have they been?
31 years.
31?
Yeah.
And will you be providing the DESE meeting information?
It was basically a Zoom meeting I had with them. They're basically, it was a Q&A section on, I'm having questions on how the process goes. They gave me a lot of information, even refitting the school, bringing it up to code, because once we took ownership, it's got to go back up to code, today's code. But that is all grant related, and there's a lot of money that DESE can provide. So it's not going to be any burden to the town, and that's why I'm here to kind of because I know everyone's shell shocked because we don't have tons of money. This is not going to. This is only going to enhance
What
your
is
value.
the estimated number of students that you would foresee in that school?
That's hard to know because we haven't nailed down towns, but basically right now we're looking at the Quabog Regional School District and other surrounding towns that are testing low, but I don't want to jump ahead of that and give you a set number. I know how many seats right now we can grab from Quabog Regional District, but I'm not willing to do that until everything's set in stone, so I'm not giving you false information.
Okay, so what has to be set in stone in order for the town to receive information? That's,
They have
that
to-
they have
they're-
voted, that they're
they've-
interested?
They've approved by vote, and they've approved on their 10-year model.
Okay,
And
so
that-
what is the timeframe then? If they're gonna vote in August, like when would you,
Like I said, they would
thinking-
have to run their 10-year model, and she said at this point, it would be sometime in the fall, probably October, that they would be able to give us a confirmation.
and would this be K-6 or?
That's yet to be decided. We are looking at K through 8, but that's what I would like to see. But,
K
that's
through
what,
8?
yeah.
Generally, though, they usually start K through 4.
It's
or
a
K through
ramp up.
6.
It's
Yeah.
a ramp up. It's basically K through 3, and then you add a grade.
So
Yeah.
charter schools are for children that are struggling.
No,
No.
no, it's really for anyone that feels, see, what you're doing is the charter school has a little bit more flexibility as far as learning styles than the public school does. So a lot of times, you're taking in IEP kids, you're taking in, high above average learners. It's basically a lottery system. It would be open to the town of West Brookfield initially to a certain cap, and then you branch out. So it's basically, they pull the lottery in, I believe, February.
So our kids in town, since we're the host town, would have
Correct.
some preference in
Correct.
getting it.
That's what
Yes.
Desi told me.
And when they talk about a lot of money, there's several grants. There's a grant that would go along with the school that would come in, which would be just setting up a new school, or there would be a grant. It's the same grant system, it's just coded differently, but it could be up to like $500,000 to set the school, like with all their desks, the books, pencils, everything they need to come in. So there is a lot of money there for this, to be very successful.
And
But that's not money to the town, that's
No.
money for setup, so.
Yes,
No.
right, right.
There's
But we're
no-
just saying that the school itself this wouldn't be any burden on the town whatsoever. This comes straight from DESI.
This has happened in the state of Massachusetts where the schools have closed and the town has been burdened with the cost of maintaining that building. So that's why I've researched, like, how can we best support, because it might be a year and a half process, and I don't want you guys just say, we can't afford this. So that's why I think we have to run a non-profit organization to be able to get funds to start giving you some money to hold that building.
And there's a lot of nonprofits that specifically donate for charter schools.
Now, are you in the process of creating that?
We have a board,
nonprofit?
I've got we've actually just got a great finance person, we've got an attorney. I'm working with, I haven't gotten confirmation, is grabbing one of our school service villages, people that are rolling off their board to come to ours, and he's got 9 years' experience. So we're in the process of getting up that nonprofit, because that's the first phase, and then we move on to the charter school.
You had said to hold it, you would set up a nonprofit so you can give the town money, to hold
To
the
hold the
property?
building, yeah.
So you don't
I mean,
sell it or
if we're gonna,
something.
Okay, so I just want to back it up a little bit and let you know that Mass General Law requires town property, if it will be leased or sold, it has to follow Uniform Procurement, Chapter 30B.
okay.
And there's a process, so it would have to go out in an RFP. There
Yep.
is no handing it over or holding it for any particular school.
No, I think
It has to be
I think
fair.
what I'm saying is there's gonna have to be a good faith agreement at that point.
We have to follow law, so
If-
it's no longer
Could you provide
handshake
me that
deals.
information?
Oh, I certainly can.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, it's Chapter 30B,
Okay.
and it's called Disposition of Real Property.
Okay, so say you guys want to go forward with this, but we have to go through the process. Would you just be if someone came along and said, well, we want to buy it now?
The town has to look, no, this isn't something that would be rushed into by any means. Everything's gonna have to be very, very thoroughly vetted.
Okay.
There's due diligence that must be done, and the reason for that is it's a town asset.
Mm.
So there is no quick decisions, it's not making a decision based on a particular portion of the community. or anything like that. It has to be for the best interest of the community as a whole, right? So it could be educational, it could be civic, there's many things that it could be. So there's nothing like that. It's just, unfortunately, the town is required to follow a lot of law.
We know.
And so as, it sounds like it'd be so simple, right? But it's really not. But you could certainly take a
Okay,
look
but
at that.
So
and-
say that you guys agree that you want to do the charter school, then what does that process?
You're gonna have to go through the procurement process, so the
Okay.
town's gonna have to do that. The town will have counsel to guide thoroughly through. It may require town vote, okay?
Yep.
So there's a lot.
Okay.
Then as far as charter school goes, there's going to be certain legalities there that we would have to follow process. And quite frankly, I don't know that this town has dealt with that before. I know I haven't, so there's gonna be a lot of work to figure all this out, and it'll take time. Mhm.
So say if there's several proposals, civic, educational, senior center, fire station, safety
When you
complex.
put out an RFP, it's going to, so what really should happen, because this is a large public asset.
Yeah.
So what really should happen is that not just one group of people have input as to what happens with that public property, right?
We agree.
So there should be informationals, and the board should be fostering the informationals so that you're basically taking survey of the
Greater need,
the town.
what they prefer.
You know, when I first came on, for example, not to say this is the route that the town would go, but when I was first hired, it was made very clear to me that public safety complex was something that the town wanted to pursue. But they didn't have the money to do that. So how do we do that? So I started planning strategically to check off the boxes for federal funding, right? So here we are now. We are in a master plan update for economic development because we know we don't have the finances, right? And we need more of that. We had a meeting with CMRPC and that to discuss the strategy for economic development in the plan and how this is going to go forward. Now, part of that will include the school because it's vacant, you know, and we have to plan for the future, and no one likes a vacant school. But at the same time, West Brookfield has a lot to offer outside of a school. And so there's a lot of thought and planning that'll have to go in. And so when it comes to this particular property, it really should be the voices of the people that come together and share their ideas and what they want to see. You know, already so many people have come forward. Someone's come forward, several people that have said, hey, what about housing? You know, people are trying to think. Others have said, what about commercial, right? So there's a lot to think of. Now, when it comes time, if the town said, you know what, a charter school would be great, and that's what we would like to get behind and support, then what we do is we tailor the RFP to the accommodations of a school, an educational purpose, right? Then whoever responds to that, then it is and you would establish committees in that to do the review, and then they would look at that to see the best fit, right? What is the best fit, and go from there. So that's how we would deal with an RFP after there's a decision based on what the town feels would be the best use for that property. So just you wanted an idea of the process, and that's what typically a lot of other towns, because there have been many more closings of schools as of late in the last 5 years, the last 10 years, than there was 20, 30 years ago. Like the data that you had provided was 1980s, 1990s, early 2000s. Well, a lot has changed since then. And so what I've been looking at is what other communities have done in the most recent years when it comes to the school, and what it looks like overwhelmingly if they didn't have the finances to hire a consultant and do all of this fancy footwork. Most of them turn to the public, to the residents, to the taxpayers, and say, what are your thoughts? We want your input. And they hold these public sessions so that it's all transparent and fair. Because
So
that's a
really-
big decision.
So it really depends on who you get to these meetings.
I would hope people would participate. I mean, you know, we had a lot of people come out and vote, which was good. I think that there's a lot more, and now that these are live, I think there's a lot more interest in what's going on. And that's a good thing. And yeah, let's hope people come out. And
So when would we begin these public meetings?
we have to get through what we're getting through. We're trying to close the fiscal year out. We've got a lot of stuff to do. I would leave that up to the board to figure that out. But I wouldn't say that this is gonna happen in a month or so. We're gonna have to prepare. And it should be thoughtful. It shouldn't be something that is haphazardly thrown together. It's gotta be a thoughtful process.
So what board would be planning these information? With the select board?
The select board would make the decision to go forward. And then from there, maybe we get together. Now, in other communities, there's been planning board, there's been, you know, you're going to have your financial team, there's going to be a lot of other boards and committees that would be involved in something like this outside of the public.
So, am I understanding you correctly, so if this school says, yes, we want to move forward, we can't really consent to that because we have not had these information meetings?
Yeah, and I would think, I mean, I'm sure if they've been in business for 31 years, they've dealt with municipal law, they have to follow the same procurement
Well, she
that towns
mentioned
do,
information
so.
meetings. She absolutely mentioned a lot of information meetings. She says, you know, you're gonna get tired of doing them, but, you know, I just wanna understand.
Yeah, just because they vote does not mean it would be a done deal for this town. We would have to go through
We knew that,
procurement.
we
And they
we
would know
understand
that too.
We understand that, we
Because
just,
they have to follow the same law that we do.
we just wanna know what the process is so that we can start
Sure.
working on the process. Because
Absolutely.
obviously, if you're looking at a safety complex, you got a group of people here who want a school, so we're gonna put together our best plan and they can put together
Yeah,
their.
you're gonna put together
Yeah.
your ideas. I mean, that's the whole thing of it. It's community, and community will come forward and put their ideas, and then we all go from there.
So
Yeah.
then what would you do? Put this to a town vote or town meeting?
In the end, to really move it forward, yeah, probably it would go to a town vote.
So on the ballot or at town meeting?
No, I believe a town meeting. I don't believe it would require a ballot, but I will definitely, we would check all that beforehand, but I believe a town meeting would do.
Okay, so then basically our next annual town meeting, we know this probably wouldn't occur for us until 2028, would be an opening school year, September of 2028, so that's
How long
plenty of
does
time.
DESI have to be notified in
There's
advance?
certain dates you have to hit your application. Clearly, we're not starting now because it's I think October 14th. Then you gotta get your application in by November, and then they make a decision by the end of February. So it would be looking at next year that we would be playing this, and that's why, you know, we have to kind of, as a town, have to get our act together as far as what we're gonna do with that building. To, you know, cause this is a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, the whole thing is going to be a lot of work on the
We're aware
town's
of
end,
it.
so.
We have a good board, we have a good financial person
Yeah.
who knows exactly, that's what she does. And
Good.
she actually audits charter schools all across the country, so she's very
Great.
well versed in all of what needs to be done. And there's a lot of other, we have an attorney, we have a business member in
Great.
town, we have teachers. The DESI has.
Sounds like you're setting yourselves up good, so.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
hopefully
DESI has
this-
requirements, yeah.
Hoping, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's,
we appreciate the work you've been doing. I think step number one is still the school voting, whether they're interested or not. I mean, before we start jumping through hoops, they might not even be interested. in
Well,
coming.
she's very interested and the presidents are
Well, I'm
very
still
interested.
saying they need to
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah.
well,
They
even
need
if
to
they're
vote.
not, then we're gonna go forward on our own. We don't have to have a school, we can do it separately, and Desi said we can do parallel tracks. We start working on ours, get the 501c going, get the, all our ducks in a row on our side, and then if they decide yes, great, then we
And
can
that's what we're
just
doing right now.
pivot to them, and if not, we pivot to us.
Have you had an opportunity to tell them about the doors and windows
Oh, yes, that's
project?
not a problem.
So they're
just
good,
kinda- they
and
laugh
then
at
in
that.
5 years, within 5 years, it will require a roof, they're aware of that expense.
I
Okay.
told her, you know, it was a
I
30.
just wanna make sure before they vote that they're aware.
Okay, we have a question over here.
I just, more of a comment if
Comment.
that's okay, but, I just wanted to say that I feel like, what the community wants is very important, and, I feel like everyone I've spoken to thus far really just wants a school to stay a school and wants our town to have a school, within it. And the fact that it has already been a school and was established as a school, it makes it much more enticing and easier for these people to come in and keep it that way, and possibly even just make it better and more financially stable and more successful when it comes to testing and all of that. So I find that to be personally, as a community member and parent, to be very enticing. I also understand that, hearing that, I'm glad to hear that people are coming forward
Yeah.
with their ideas, because that's exciting, and it means that people care, which means a lot to me and a lot of other people. But at the same time, I just wanted to say that if it were to be able to stay a school and run and operate successfully, that to me would be the ultimate goal and dream. So
I feel it's the best for the school, economically, for our community, for our children. We have a unique situation. I think other than some of the residents over in Warren kind of felt like we didn't want our kids to go to school with their kids. That's not the case. We have a school smack dab in the center of town that actually almost every resident is within 5 minutes of. That's, maybe a few that are a little further out. It's just such a community connection to the downtown and to the whole area. People, they can drop their kids off at school. I know they run buses that are empty. They have very few kids on. Most of the parents choose not to put their kid on the bus and drop them off because it's so close. It has such a connection to that part of it. People have bought homes here for that
Because of
reason.
the schools.
Because of the school.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for everybody to lose a school like that, I think it's, just devastating, and it'd be great to be able to see that continue. Even if it can't be part of the Quabog School District, a charter school and building our own school here in town, and, with a good.
desirable again.
Yes.
Well, it's also in the regional need.
Oh, I think we've heard all of
Okay,
this before.
yeah, I was just gonna say, you're getting your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Teresa knows what we need to do. We're gonna wait
Okay.
to hear from the school, and we'll move forward from
Sounds
there. I
good.
mean, I
we're
think we.
eagerly
yeah.
waiting. I think we're all eagerly waiting. Right?
Yes.
I just have one more comment. You mentioned that there were a lot of towns that did close schools, but in Massachusetts, the whole state, there are only 4 towns in this state that do not have an elementary school.
Mhm.
So the towns that closed probably
Already had
had
a
2
school.
or 3 elementary schools
Or even
that
high
they
school.
could combine.
Right.
So that's the closings. And the towns that do not have an elementary school in their town, all 4 of them, have populations less than 500, and mostly in Berkshire County.
Mhm.
So we're talking about a town with 3,800 people and no school.
Right.
So it's,
Can't afford it though, that's the problem.
all
I
that.
want
I
the
think
school
that
open
was-
too, but we need the money. Unfortunately, we don't have
Charter
it.
might be our best option.
That's
because
why a
it
charter
won't
school
cost
is the
us
best
anything.
option. It won't cost the school.
Let's see how it goes.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. You talked about forming a nonprofit. I just want to understand this. Would the nonprofit continue to gather funds as the school is open to help the town offset the eventual costs that do come to them?
Once the school is open,
Yeah. Yep.
I'd have to look into that, but I know the purpose of it initially would be to offset the burden on the town.
Building. Makes sense.
I would believe they're two separate entities and they have to remain that way.
Mhm.
Okay then. Next item up is, recently Teresa and I met with the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission to discuss economic development. Carrie, the lead person, is putting together a summary of the meeting. She hasn't completed it yet, so Teresa was just gonna give us an update on it.
So the overview of it, I think I've said it over and over, was to look toward economic development because that's one of the big weaknesses that we have. And we also needed to update our master plan. So with that in mind, we decided instead of reinventing the wheel that we would pursue an update to the master plan as it exists, but include a corridor study and economic development strategy plan. And so the first phase of this, and I know that I had said that there'll be public input that'll be needed. The first phase was the existing conditions assessment and the implementation progress review, and that started taking place in October 2025 and was completed in January 2026 by CMRPC. And then review planning, what that included was review planning documents, assess economic conditions, conduct the interviews, and evaluate the existing master plan implementation. And then phase 2 took place from January 2026 through June. And that was to conduct the E&J and start thinking about community, kind of coordinating what would be best to coordinate public input and what those sessions are going to look like. And so when we hear back from them, they'll provide the details and we'll be able to share that with you. So one of the thoughts that we had discussed was how do we make this kind of like a live project so that people can, outside of us just bringing it up at a meeting, so the thought was being able to use the website to be able to provide those documents, because going forward, not only will we have the updates, but we will actually have plans and mapping and different things like that. So then phase 3 will be the strategic priorities and starting to look at that roadmap. So we'll be hosting community workshops, conducting senior focus groups, survey outreach, synthesize community input, identify and prioritize goals, actions, focus on business development, site identification, ecotourism, branding, and sustainability. So what that'll include is not just the residents and taxpayers, but really a lot of the stakeholders. So there's some cottage industries here, different businesses, business owners. There's some light industrial. We would want their input too. And then basically the final deliverable will be a finalized plan with marketing tools. So there'll be the implementation matrix, site map, tourism strategy, branding guidance, and a public story map. And then from there, the hope will be to get us also in the community development, economic development strategy plan that is within Worcester County. So we are not part of the SEDS plan, and it's important to get West Brookfield into that. And once we're in there, we work with the Chamber of Commerce and we work with the other area communities, and we brand ourselves together. So we also have our independent branding, but branding together. We've also applied jointly in support of another grant that is doing a study all the way from the beginning of Route 9 on the West Brookfield line right through Leicester. in support, recognizing that communities need each other, and to bring in folks to spend money and want to start up businesses. And another part of this brings in the master plan, which is looking at our zoning and all of that, because West Brookfield has a character that is unique that they want to save. You don't want a big box store, you know, or anything like that. So there's a balance. So going forward, there will be, what did she say? She expects in the fall that we'll start beginning to have those public sessions to get you all of your input as to what you'd like to see, different ideas. You know, what is special about West Brookfield? What would you like to see West Brookfield branded? You know, there's a lot of art, a lot of agricultural here. There's a lot that West Brookfield has to offer. So
Is the master plan already online? The previous master plan?
it should be. It should be. We can check.
Okay, I just have a hard time finding things on the website, so.
Yeah. That it's not an easy website.
You should go with Civic Plus. It's
I
really
wish we could, but we really cannot afford the change right now. But boy, let me tell you, come the day we can, we will
What
definitely
would be the
look
cost difference with the change?
They're expensive.
They're very
I mean,
expensive.
oh yeah, oh yeah. To change, you're starting at ground zero. So to just right off the top, you'd be looking at a good 10 to 15,000 just to start up, and then there's your renewals, and then any upgrades to that. So
We did just recently overhaul the website as well. So, I mean, I know it's not perfect, but it's a much improved over.
Are you
what it
using
was
the
before.
app part of the website, or is it still done with code? You know?
It's all apps. It's all
what do you
apps.
mean code?
Well,
No one's right. No one's
No
sitting
one-
there writing HTML.
well, no, I understand you're not writing with code, but there's two ways of doing it. So the apps are basically easy to just upload stuff and then,
This is a much more
Yeah.
user-friendly website. I was on the website committee. We brought forward 3 proposals to select board. We did look at Civic Plus, and Civic Plus was about a $20,000 investment, and the town said that they couldn't use that money. Didn't have that type of funding. The company that we chose was a very small investment, somewhere around $3,000. So it did upgrade the website, but it's not, in the major leagues. It's a minor league website.
And just so you know, like if you click on Teresa's email, I get Ron's email. That's,
Oh,
just so you
it's
know,
updated.
okay? That's never been changed, because it says your name, and I clicked on
Yeah.
it, but I looked, I'm like, well, that's not her.
I'll go in and I'll take a
So,
look at that tomorrow.
you know.
So I have to tell you, I have gotten very acquainted with the website, like how to do stuff now. So
Yeah,
I'll,
and just the board of selectmen, I know, I know that you're probably not, like, we don't have a secretary, but people that are wanting to inquire or give you some comments from the email, if it's not being read,
Yeah,
maybe it should be your email, like
well, it
contact.
should be.
You should link to
Yeah, but it
BOS,
says
actually.
It's so
BOS.
weird.
It says BOS at
Well,
West Brookfield.
that email's read. Word. Wow.
Yeah, that
Where does that go now?
that was Beth.
Yeah. What happened?
That
That was
So-
Beth, but I sent to that, and I didn't get a response, so I reached out to Henry via Facebook, and you shouldn't have to do this.
No,
Said,
you
hey, what's the
shouldn't.
deal? And he said, email Teresa directly.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying it's very confusing for the public to
Yeah.
use that website
Yeah.
and
No, we'll
Get in
change
contact
the
with you.
email address.
perfect.
No one's monitoring the BOS mailbox.
When I have a moment.
Well, Jordan had the same issue.
Yeah.
I told him, email Teresa,
Email me
email
directly,
Roland, email
really.
me
You
on
responded
the town
today.
website. And
Yeah.
everybody got it.
Right, I
So
appreciate your
it's not
response
that,
to it.
it's not that difficult. The
Right.
BOS ones, nobody's paying attention.
We didn't know that, though. We just,
Yeah.
I just
Well, I
assumed
didn't
you were
either until
checking
just
it.
recently.
No, that email was really, I guess, set up so that if someone had something they wanted to go to the Board of Selectmen, Beth would monitor that,
Right.
and if it was important, then she'd send it off to them. If it was just junk, because most of it's junk, then she would just junk it, you know?
But the public doesn't know that. 'cause I
Right, so
didn't.
we'll change that.
Okay, if we could move on.
Yeah,
Approval of trench permit for the Leland Road Pump Station Upgrade Project.
and then there'll be the,
Yep, I know, I just wanted
mhm.
to take care of this first.
And that's for his project, or for the water department's project.
Hey there.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, how are you,
We're
sir?
just gonna, go through the permit, and then give you the floor, and you can go through the rates and stuff like that,
Okay.
if you'd like.
Sounds good.
Gonna go to sleep on you.
I think so. Must be on the timer.
Do we have a motion to accept this trench permit for the pump?
Where's her helper?
Let's let them get this straightened out before we do that, because they're.
Dumber.
There you go.
It's safe over there.
Are you also?
I'm all set now.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the trench permit for the Leland Road pump station upgrade project.
I'll second it. Any questions or comments?
This is only for like a couple of weeks, you'll have the trench dug that quickly? It expired on 7/17, so.
It might be, well, the initial trench is a water main that has to be moved, so
Okay.
I'm assuming it's for that.
How did we come up with this end date?
The contractor?
That was for the contractor, I don't know.
Okay, well, they think they can get it done by 7/17. God bless them. But just because we had to do trench permits for some construction, and he knew he wasn't gonna meet the original date, so rather than have him come back, we
Right,
just extended
right.
it. I'm not getting anything.
All those in favor?
All right?
Aye. Also, latter part of June, the Board of Water Commissioners held an informal meeting, and they also discussed the water rate charges for this coming fiscal year and beyond. And seeing that it was myself and 4 others that attended the hearing, they thought maybe the Commissioner, the Chair, would like to come up, Mr. Garin, and just give us a brief overview of what's going on with the rates so that everyone would know.
Sure, well, I appreciate that. So I'm Phil Guerin, I'm the chair of the Board of Water Commissioners. And I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity just to explain where we are with the Leland Road Water Treatment Plant project, and then what are we looking at for water rates. So it's kind of the 2 parts. So I'm going to go on to the first slide. So the Leland Road project actually goes back to about 2019. DEP ordered us to build a treatment plant to take care of iron and manganese in the water. Very common contaminants in water in Massachusetts and New England, naturally occurring. Manganese is their bigger concern because there are some potential health impacts at real high levels. So we were initially in 2019 heading down that path. We had an engineer started to design plans, and then COVID hit and the world came to a stop. So everything got put on hold, and we've been since have been ordered a couple more times by DEP to get this project going. So knowing that they've been pretty flexible in understanding to this point, but it's their determination that it's needed. So we as a water department answer to them. They enforce the Safe Drinking Water Act of Massachusetts. So our project here, we bid back in December. Bids are open the end of January on the 28th. We did receive 6 bids from qualified contractors, with the low bid to WM Schultz Construction of $5,872,475. We had a pre-construction conference with the contractor at the end of April, and we finally executed that contract with Schultz on June 15th. So they're under contract. As far as the project schedule goes, they actually began site preparation in June, and they're actively working on the site. The contract calls for them to be substantially complete by October of 2027, and final completion November of 2027. Substantial completion essentially means the facility would be usable at that point, and then they have another month to wrap things up on punch list items and smaller items. So the big question is, how are we paying for this project? So we have the contractor's bid at $5.87 million. The engineering, we have Tater and Howard out of Marlboro as the engineers on this project. They designed it, and their engineering for the construction phase is $600,000. There's a contingency built into it, about $290,000. So the total is $6.762 million. We applied to the state revolving fund. Now, state revolving fund works under the Treasurer's Office and DEP. They are the main source, maybe the only source of financial help for water and sewer projects across the Commonwealth. We did get approved for a loan, and I stress it's a loan, $6.24 million. And there is something called principal forgiveness. I'll get into that in a little bit. We also applied for an emerging contaminants grant from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection for $500,000. That was approved. That will cover engineering costs only. That's $500,000 of that $600,000. And we just actually heard from them today, and they have finally finalized the paperwork, so we just need to sign it in town and get it on its way. So
Get that signed tomorrow.
excellent. We have also applied for what's called a congressional directed spending grant through our Congressman Neal. And that's been approved. It's just over $1 million, and it's a grant. But the details are unclear. So it was announced that we were approved after we had applied for it 3 or 4 times. But to actually get it, we have to apply for it again. So there's another package of information, government red tape at its best. So we're still, we're going through that process to figure out exactly what it pays for, how we can use it, and what strings are attached. There's always strings attached in these things. And finally, we have the water department, the enterprise, will pay $23,000, or already paid $23,000 towards the construction phase engineering. So there's a $500,000 grant for construction. We paid $23,000. The remaining $77,000 or whatever is actually part of the loan. So we've got the construction part of it covered, and we got the engineering part covered. So a little bit more on this SRF loan. So the standard loan through the state revolving fund is a 2% interest loan for 20 years. Because our project has a life expectancy of over 30 years, we can actually apply for a 30-year loan. Interest rate is a little bit higher, and as with any loan, the longer you take to pay, the more it's going to cost. But at 30 years, the annual payments are less. So we're trying to keep the costs that end up being paid by the people who pay a water bill low. So we're leaning towards, we haven't decided for sure, but we're leaning towards a 30-year just to keep those annual costs lower. So the loan forgiveness I mentioned earlier. So part of the SRF loan is they offer a loan forgiveness, and it's based on the median household income of the town or city. So for our town, that would be 13.4%. Essentially, that becomes a grant, and you don't have to pay it back, which is a good thing. That's about $800,000. It's not carved in stone anywhere, so we still don't know if we're getting it for sure. It all depends on how things play out, but it's been a pretty standard practice for the SRF, so we're pretty confident we'll get that. We also don't know how it rolls into all of this either. Is that taken off the top, or is that, do we pay to pay back the loan up to a point, and then we don't have to pay anymore? We don't know those details as of yet. We did get a preliminary debt service payment schedule. And the way the SRF works is you pay them twice a year. So they'll pay the contractor from the start up until our first debt payment to the state is going to be July of 2027. So they're paying the contractor and they're paying the engineers. So that's all, everyone's getting paid. And then town, through this loan, has to start paying back the loan beginning July of 2027. And so the July payment is a interest only payment, and then in January of every year you pay interest and principal. So you have 2 payments a year to make. For a 30-year loan, the total payment for an annual payment averages $301,000 a year. For the 20-year loan, it's $388,000 a year. So you can see the difference between those two in terms of what we actually have to pay back to the state. And those are averages, so the numbers vary a little bit over the course of the year, but that, and those are preliminary, so the numbers could change a bit by the time we get the final contract. So how do we pay for all this? Well, this gets worked into water rates. That's how you pay back this loan. Our water rates have to cover our annual budget, plus this annual debt service. So this $300,000 we're adding on, becomes part of our overall budget every year. So we have to have rates that can cover that. We increased water rates in fiscal year 26 in anticipation of the project. We wanted to build up our stabilization and reserve accounts, so we had some kind of money in the bank ahead of the project and the payments coming due. In fiscal 27, we could raise those rates again. Our budget this year that was approved by town meeting is covered by our current rates, but we could raise the rates for fiscal 27 again in anticipation we're going to have these bigger bills coming in fiscal 28. So we could raise them now and kind of make it a little less painful that you don't get one big increase at one time, but you break it in 2. And then again at fiscal 28, we have to have the money in the budget through water rates to pay for the debt service plus our budget. Again, we don't know what the principal forgiveness or the congressionally directed spending grant are going to look like just yet. So, those will be applied, and we will continue to look for other sources of grants to help pay for this. We also have to keep in mind this isn't the only thing going on in the water department. We've got other projects that have to be addressed. We are currently have an engineering firm looking at the Ware Point Road wells and treatment plant, which is our main source of water. It's 40-something years old. It's known as the dinosaur over in the office downstairs. So we have engineers looking at it now to assess what needs to be done there before it stops working. So we're having that evaluation done. We know we're going to have to spend some money on it. So that's something. We've got some money already taken from stabilization that will be put towards that, but that's going to be an ongoing expense for a few years. We've got on Front Street, we have a 1920 vintage water main that we've repaired. Water main breaks 3 or 4 times in the last 4 years, so we'll say it's well past its useful life. So that needs to be replaced. We're working on options for getting some other money to do that, but those are the sorts of things we have to keep doing. We can't just stop the world, do the Leland Road project, and say we're not going to work on anything else in the water system. So all that brings us to what are we looking at for water rates in fiscal 27. You can advance that slide, Teresa. So we are recommending a rate increase, again, to build those reserves and avoid one large increase in fiscal 28. We did have a rate hearing and took testimony from the handful of people who were there back at the end of June. And then we will be voting on a rate at our next meeting in July, which I think is on the 13th. And the new rates will be applied to water bills that are issued afterwards. So the first water bills that will come out will be in September. So that's when the new rates would first be applied. So So our water rates for fiscal '27 that we're contemplating right now, we would hold our to quarterly billing as we currently are. The base charge is our water rates is a base charge, and then that covers the first 500 cubic feet of water, and then is a rate per 100 cubic feet above that first 500 cubic feet. So we'd hold our base charge at $85 per quarter per meter, as is current, and the rate for everything above the 500 cubic feet would go up $1.50 to $7.50 per 100 cubic feet. It's currently $6. So customer impacts, those customers that use very little water, some might be seasonal, potentially you've got somebody who lives alone in a small house and, doesn't water their lawn or wash their cars and is very conscious of water, might stay under that base charge, and the 500 cubic feet per quarter might, so they wouldn't see any change at all. That's probably not a lot of people, but there are some out there. Average customer, and again, I want to stress average customer, so there's going to be people that use more and there's going to be people that use less, but the average customer, you're looking at about a $60 per year increase with this rate increase. About $15 more per quarterly bill. And water bills would go up about 11% for the current bills. We looked at other options. One is no change. We hold the rates for 27, but that would mean we'd have about over 20% rate increase for 28, which would be a big jump for people. So we felt the smaller increase in 27 would be more palatable. We also looked at increasing the base charge to $90 and increasing the rate to $7.20. For the average customer, it didn't change things a lot. It would still be around that $60 a year. But for those smaller customers that don't use much water, they would be paying more just because of that base charge increase. So that's where we're at. We again will be voting on this Water Commission at our July meeting, and the rates that we vote in will be applied going forward. Again, first bills in September.
You're anticipating, I'm assuming you're anticipating another 10 or 11% increase for fiscal year 28?
Yeah, again, we're hoping with the congressional money and the loan forgiveness that it may not be as much. We may be able to have lower because those payments may end up being lower if we get that money. We can use it the way we hope we can. But until we actually see what those numbers look like, the anticipation is 11% this year and 11% next year.
Can I ask a question? When are you gonna have the estimates on what you need on the Waypoint Road project?
So that study is ongoing. I'm expecting we'll have something in the next 3 months. We should have that wrapped up, so we'll have an idea of what we need. We already have some money, town meeting approved through stabilization that will pay for some of it. It's not going to be a whole lot, but at least we can get some things done, and then we'll know going forward once we have that.
You're anticipating our rates will continue to rise because of that?
Well, we have our stabilization account. We have because we're enterprise now. At the end of the year, anything we took in as revenue above and beyond our expenses goes into retained earnings for the water enterprise. So we have some flexibility because we have some funds there. I'm not saying we're going to spend them all on all of this, but we'll have to look at what those numbers look like. Rates could go up because of that, but we're also going to explore every possible grant or financial assistance we can get from the state or federal government.
Yeah, Phil, when you get a moment, or, your next meeting beforehand or whatnot, maybe we could circle back and talk about those 2 projects and potential grant sources that I'm aware of.
Okay, that'd be great.
On that.
Teresa, you thought this was gonna be covered almost fully by grants. I remember at one of the meetings a couple months you brought up
That what was going to be
this
covered
whole
by?
water treatment project. I thought,
Oh, no, that was Route 9.
oh.
That was
I
Route
thought it was the
9.
water one.
No,
Mm.
no, that was Route 9, yeah.
Phil, great job on this.
No, thank you.
I know this project has been a long, really long, drawn-out process, and it's excellent. I'm really happy to see that it's progressed like it has in the past year with you guys. So, great work.
Yeah. And the staff, Kathy and West have done, Kathy in particular, been phenomenal applying for all these grants and reapplying and reapplying.
No, that's
Yeah.
excellent, yeah.
So she's been terrific, and, you know, we try to keep our eyes open and see what's out there that, and, you know, any help we can get upon this financially, so in touch with our Congress people, our senators and representatives for any money that might be out there.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It was a great presentation, appreciate it, thank you.
All right, and I'm happy to come back in, 6 or 8 months and give you an update. We'll be well into the project at that point, and hopefully we'll know more about these other sources.
We'll pencil you in.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Phil.
Okay, thank you.
The next item up is Next item up is treasury warrants. Fiscal 26 AP warrant number 27 and fiscal FY 26 payroll warrant number 27.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 AP warrant number 27 and fiscal year 26 payroll warrant number 27 as presented.
Second, any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
All right. I'd like a motion to approve the fiscal year 27 AP warrant number 1 and fiscal year 27 payroll warrant number 1 as presented.
I'll second that. Any comments or questions? If none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Teresa, town manager's report, town administrator's report.
Yeah, pretty much trying to keep all the office duties going forward, bills getting paid, and all of that, and trying to close out the end of the fiscal year as far as the work the office has to do. We, as of the other day, we have roof leaks. The contractor will be here tomorrow to do temporary repair. I've been speaking with the architect to see if we should just apply for, with DCAM for an emergency exemption so that we could go forward with the roof project without having to go through the full procurement process that you normally would.
How long would it take to get the exemption?
I don't think it would take long. It's a matter of having all the ducks in a row, and it depends if they have any backlogs, but as long as your building inspector signs off and you've got documentation, which I think we have plenty at this point,
Pictures of
then right, and so I think that we could certainly do that. One of the problems is the state, we don't have permission from the state to use the shingles that were proposed. So that's part of the problem. The architect is circling back with the consultant on that to see if we can push, being a situation that needs to be addressed ASAP, push the state in rendering their decision. So I'll keep you posted there. Yeah, so a lot of day-to-day. I haven't heard back yet on the green communities, but that had been fully submitted. So we wait for that. The unit upstairs in the attic, and actually you could speak to that. So we had discovered a while back that unit is like, it's like 30 some odd years old, and I think it's what, a HVAC, is
It's
that?
the
Okay.
HVAC system for the building.
Yeah, and over time, so when it had been installed, it was installed on a tilt, and there's a big holding tray under it, and over time, that tray has rotted through, and so when it builds up with water, the water's, yeah. So that is part of the application that was submitted, and that unit alone is about $96,000 to replace. So we went forward.
It's not in a good spot.
It's not, it's ridiculous, but we decided to really beat feet on the application. You can apply 2 years, and we had just closed out our prior grant. So we hadn't planned on applying until October, but instead we were able to get it in the April submission. So it was pretty quick, and in addition to that, there was also some upgrades to that system, the software for the heating and cooling system. That's like software.
Yeah, software.
Yeah, so that has been an issue, which, thank you, he came in
Anytime
and
you need me to go in there, just ask.
he's used to dealing with those, because some of us would freeze to death, some of us would sweat to death, so it's been helpful.
When you talk about the shingles versus, is that like a unfunded mandate from the state that you will, let's say they say you will use slate?
It's interesting. So what we are putting forward is that there is evidence that slate was not the original. So as a historic building, you have to stay within the historic parameters or get permission to change.
Yep.
And but in this case, it's clear that it was actually wood shingles underneath, and when they put the slate on, they hadn't used the right size nails that would be necessary, so they used shorter ones which work their way out and over time loosen up, and water's getting in between, and you actually have slate that has shifted and some pieces have fallen. That's why there's
No parking anymore?
the fencing over here. The parking's been blocked so that the lift, which was delivered today, the contractor was coming out today, but then the forecast changed to be significant rain, like 2 to 4 inches, and you can't risk those guys up on the lift in that much rain. So they will be here first thing in the morning to do the Band-Aid, basically.
So if there was leaking through the slate, there must be a lot of damage to the
Structural
the
integrity of the
rafters and all
building.
that.
Yeah. So you have trusses that have rotted at the base, and so rot weakens, right? And so there's been shifting, and due to the shifting, it has also bowed that side of the building. That wall is bowing out. So not only does it need the roof, but it also needs the structural repairs. The unfortunate thing is that in order to really truly identify how much structural damage there is, you need to take that full roof off.
To find out
Right,
what's
so,
underneath. Yep.
you know, it was pretty difficult to try for them to figure out, okay, well, what do we do next? And it doesn't make sense to just do a Band-Aid.
Right.
Get it over and done, right? But, yeah, it just, it finally has come to a point after 20 years of water where, you know.
I have another question regarding that. If there's no accountability, if the people, the contractors who put that roof on and used the wrong size nail, shouldn't they have some accountability?
Oh gosh, when that slate was put on, they're probably not even in business anymore. You know, that slate's been up there for a long time, so you kind of, you know, whereas right now, and I don't know that they had an architect on hand either at the time,
Well,
Whereas
there's no
now, when we
inspector that
do-
inspects the project
I
right
don't
after
know.
it's done?
I have
Well,
no
you're
idea
probably
what was
talking
done then.
30, 40, 50 years ago.
Probably not.
You know,
Things
so
were different
it's-
back then.
It's a shame.
You trust people then?
I mean, normally, he probably wouldn't look and see what size nails they were.
It needed to be addressed
Maybe all
20
done.
years ago,
Yeah.
and it's just been something that
Yeah.
hasn't happened. So, and now we have had, so if you went upstairs, it's sad to see the damage, so that the ceiling's beautiful up there,
Yeah.
right? It was.
Yeah.
Let's just say that, it was. And so there's a large area now that is exposed plaster. The paint has just like hung down. Water has come through. Globs of plaster have fallen to the floor. There's also significant cracking from that that spans out so many areas. There's so much, and right underneath the chandelier, and I'm very concerned about that chandelier. I almost think you need staging to get access to that, but that is a heavy item, and I worry that with the crack, what's supporting it, I have no idea. So we really have to look at that, and I know people love their pickleball, but at this point, certainly you can't have that going on, and I don't know that the vibration
It's gonna extend.
is really good, being the condition that the building is in.
How long have we been waiting for the state to make up their mind?
Months. Mhm.
We're
So,
contacting your center.
The architect is having the consultant reach out and alerting them to the fact that now we're in an absolute emergency situation, so.
Safety issue at this
Mhm.
point.
Absolutely. So, yeah,
That's it?
that, yeah, well, I'm done.
Nutshell.
But there is other business,
Other business?
yeah. You have a request from Donna Allard, who's recently retired as town accountant, and she's requesting the board vote to approve acceptance for her to be able to use the town's retirement health insurance plan.
So this is town's retirement health insurance plan.
Mhm.
Is that only normally for employees that have been here for 20 years or more, or?
10.
10?
Typically it's 10. That's what it says in the
Says 10.
handbook. Mm-hmm.
Does the time as consulting go into her service?
Well, she would be a consultant, not an employee, I believe. Right. But she's pretty close, so.
How many years has she been here?
She's been here for a little over 9 years. Yeah.
Can't she hold off retirement? Means a lot.
Now, you spoke earlier about opening up,
I know, I get it.
and this would do that.
I had spoke with her today, and just asked if she had still wanted to bring this forward, and she did. But she understands that you may decline, so.
Is the retirement health insurance that good? Better than-
It's, I believe it's 65% town paid, so.
And again, my only fear is anyone who spends a few years here, and they're later on in their careers, they're gonna say, well, I'll take the retirement health plan.
Well, if it's at 10 years,
Well, if we give it
yeah.
to 10 years anymore.
Yeah, one way or the other, yeah. Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to allow Donna Allard to participate in the town's retirement health insurance plan.
I'm just afraid.
Well, you can second the one.
I can second it and I'll discuss it, but I'm just afraid what's gonna happen
No, I hear you.
if we pass this.
I hear you. We should go through the motions of
Well, you've made a motion, I've seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
no.
All those opposed? No.
Oh, well, yeah, so basically
Okay.
2-0.
Yeah. Is that it for other business?
Yeah.
Comments or concerns? Do you have anything more?
I have nothing.
I just wanted to, a couple of things, and I'll do it very quickly. I was able to attend Helen LaPan's 99th birthday party
Oh, nice.
last week. She met all the criteria. She is now officially the oldest citizen of West Brookfield.
Oh, wow.
And she has her pin. Her nameplate is in the case with the cane. If anybody runs into her, she loves Klondike bars. Bring her Klondike bars if you'd like. I want to thank the police, the firemen, the CERT team, the highway department, the bandstand committee. I know on June 30th, the bonfire in concert was shortened, but it was an excellent event.
Big turnout too.
Yep. Also to the police department, thanks to Officer Sharon and West Brookfield Police and Mutual Aid Assets in the quick work on that recent breaking and entering. Took care of business quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a few things. We have an employee personnel handbook that was last updated in 2003. Prior to that, it was reviewed every 3 years, I believe, and we're going to go back and review it, see if there's anything needs to be changed. Also, and I know Teresa's going to start having meetings with all her department heads. A lot more of the operations in town should be centralized through Town Hall. I know departments have budgets and they can purchase things, but up to and after a certain amount, it should go through the main office. So the administrator knows what's being spent and how much. I'll keep it at that. And I know I heard a lot earlier in the year when we were having budget issues and election and overrides, how there's no transparency, nobody's telling us anything. Well, we're live now. There's nothing being hid. And we'll all keep it updated as much as possible.
I have a question.
Make it quick.
I will. It's about the revolving account for the recreation department. Because I had asked when I was on for a revolving account and never really got an answer when Ron was the administrator. I know with all the stuff going on, and I know there was an issue down there with the porta potty and that sort of stuff. I had a long conversation way back when I was on with Lisa from the Warren Recreation Committee, and they have a revolving account that they are like allowed to run. They run events, they can do fundraisers, they can charge for certain things to cover some of the expenses. Can that revolving account that now is in place, can that be used for those kind of things? So that they could maybe hold some summer camp type things where they could charge a small amount to cover supplies,
Right.
and then it goes right back into that budget, and then they don't have to have it. Because when I first got on, one of the things we did was do the donations for the roping and the poles to put them back up, and we couldn't take any cash donations, so people actually bought them and gave them to us.
And so now there is a revolving account, and the revolving account is not limited to just pickleball.
Okay.
It's for programs, recreational programs. So if the recreational, let's say volleyball, and there's a volleyball court and whatever, and if they want to charge, right, then they could use that money for the upkeep of the volleyball court, right? It has to be within the program that are approved, but absolutely.
Well, I just know that the Warren Rec does a lot, like they do touch a truck, they charge, I think, $5 for a touch
Sure.
a truck. Things like that to raise small amounts of money, they do, I even think they do their fireworks through the recreation department, if I'm correct. I mean, I do know I had like long discussions with Lisa about like, she said she would even buy things at a yard sale and she would have to have the people write it all out, their name and phone number, because you have to account for every penny, but they were able to buy a lot of stuff and do a lot. And they offer so much over there, and we're not able to do it because we didn't have a revolving account.
Well, you do.
We do now.
You
Okay.
do now. Mhm.
All right. I was having a conversation with Mike about it. But that's good to know. Okay.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, sir.